So, hi everybody. I'm going to do a quick vlog about the update. Prince Harry versus the Daily Mail. Judge Nick Clean has decided it's going ahead. He's published a 94-page document, which I've now read, and it is mostly about Gavin Burrows. Gavin Burrows apparently broke into homes of stars and planted bugs and all this kind of thing. It's involving Elton John and Liz Hurley, various other stars, Doreen Lawrence. As you guys know, I'm a private investigator myself. Know Gavin Burrows very, very well, and have been involved in this case with Doreen Lawrence and I think Elton John and Prince Harry. There have been recent, I've been made aware of other Hugh Grant saying I investigated him, and also James Hewitt amusingly saying I investigated him and apparently crept around his flat at midnight. I mean, if I was creeping around his flat at midnight, I would definitely have wormed my way into his house. I mean, he's very attractive. So that made me laugh. So the person that has been engineering all this is a individual. I won't mention his name. I'm sick of mentioning it. And also, I've been played a tape recently by Gavin Burrows about his plan. On me that has already been executed. I have Gavin Burrows. Gavin Burrows' tape myself. Obviously, I recorded it as he played it. I haven't got, the master. But I'm really upset. I'm just really upset at the level of viciousness, maliciousness. Anyway, I'm just going to not go on about Sienna Miller, but I'm glad that recent events now, it's going to allow possibly that to be reheard, certainly for me to clear my name, which I'm passionate about. I will never let that go. Another woman blamed me for her aborting her child. I'm never going to let it go, especially when there's another woman out there that actually made that call. Not that I even think that Susie is responsible for Sienna Miller having an abortion. One thing I won't have is one woman blaming me for an abortion. No. I mean, if she's going to finding out blame Susie, I don't even think that's right. But listen, put the blame where it belongs. What Susie did was stupid, ignorant, and she deserves to be punished for it. And I'm going to make that my business. So going back to Prince Harry, all the 94-page document is about Gavin Burrows doing burglaries, breaking in, bugging, sticking microphones to the window. None of it is true. None of it is true. It's quite shocking to be an insider on all of this because it's quite shocking. But you have to know about this individual that's running the show. I'm not going to speak about him. I mean, I am shocked by him. Shouldn't have been. I was shocked to hear the tape, but I mean, I actually think they're highly dangerous. Who is going to suffer this time? It was me last time. Who is going to suffer? Prince Harry is going to suffer, actually, at the end of the day. He is going to suffer over this. It won't be Gavin Burrows that will suffer over it. Because, why? He hasn't done any of those things. So he basically talked about what he'd done for the News of the World. Now, the News of the World are a criminal organisation. They try and get you to do all manner of things. I remember being told by Alex Marichek to go and deal drugs somewhere. And I'm like, I said, but that's illegal. And he went, no, not if you say you're doing it for us. I looked at him. I thought, you motherfucker. They asked you to do all sorts of things. Now, I had worked from age 16 for some very top ex-MI6 guys, but also I just dotted about. I found out who was the more interesting and worked there. And some of them were gangsters. And when you work for men that are gangsters, I'm talking about nationwide investigations. That was very like Southern investigations. They're not gangsters, but they're ex-cops that are a little bit, shall we say, dangerous. And so I worked for them. And literally, I was told one time if I was going to leave, I would get every bone in my body broken. And I laughed because that was who I was at the time. If that happened to me now, totally different. But back then, I was different. And I left. I thought, fuck you, come round. But this was who I was back then. I was very, very used to men like that and very, very used to be spoken to like that. And when I entered into the News of the World, I went through a boyfriend, Phil Hall, lured me in. And I was pretty used there. I was ordered to go and sleep with the officer commanding the real IRA. I knew it wasn't illegal, so I went ahead and did it to get them stories. I got them the story We Get Inside the Real IRA because the officer commanding the Real IRA said, but we got inside you. So that's out there. You can see I've blogged about, I've got a copy of the story. This is, that was the only time News of the World called me our girl, by the way. But at least I got a byline for my effort. This is what they were like. They would tell you to go and do that kind of thing. They would tell you to go and break in somewhere. They would tell you to go and deal drugs. They would tell you to ring a clinic and find out if somebody had gone there. Now, when I went there, I had gone following a boyfriend, Phil Hall, who had ruined my life. I was warned imagine being warned by gangsters, but I was warned by all the ex-cops and the ex-military intelligence, Gary Watkinson, is ex-MI5. Never worked for the newspapers. Never worked for them. They will use you. They'll get you to do illegal stuff, and they'll pass a file to the police on what you've been doing. They'll tape you. And I thought, but I want to work for the newspapers. I want to be a journalist. And I thought, I know, I'll make them think that I'm doing what they say, but I'll find a way of doing it legally, which is possible because there's agencies out there doing that. They don't want to get nicked. They're intelligent enough to know about other ways. And this is who I was trained by. I'm really good at what I do. I'm very good. I've totally had my reputation trashed by the Sienna Miller horseshit, which this individual has done because he's like, oh, it's all right, I can trash her because she went to the Priory. So, yep, it's been trashed completely. This individual has totally ruined my life, totally destroyed me. But actually now the shoe's on the other foot. I'm going to watch what's going to happen to him without taking part in it even. I actually even feel sorry for him. So what kind of asshole I am. Anyway, so this is News International. They are gangsters. They are literally, they had two Ukrainian guys, Greg Misko, Igor Misko, and Alex Maranchek. They were called the Rottweilers, and they were hard ass. They were literally hard ass men. They were men that you don't say no to. They were men that they were dangerous men. They were dangerous men. And literally they'd ask you to do the things. Yeah, go and deal drugs, go and do this, go and do that. And I remember thinking, well, I'll get nicked for that. And I thought, like, fuck, am I ever going to be your patsies? Like, fuck, am I ever going to do anything illegal for you? I'm not your shit catchers. I'm not any man's shit catcher. So I thought of a way. I know I'll work for them, but I will never do anything illegal. And there's always ways around the houses. There's always ways of doing things illegally. It's called having an IQ. So I became a journalist. You get your press pass, and then there's ways of going about things legally. It's a little bit like having a police badge. And I had a staff press pass around that time. And then I've always kept my press pass. I'm a journalist. I became a journalist because it's what I wanted to do. And I began to work for the Daily Mail. I began to work for the Sunday Times. I specialised in the Real IRA. Yes, okay, I did get my foot in the door out in Belfast by using my body on the orders of the News of the World. But I quickly realised that I was a bright journalist, that I was more intelligent than most of them, and thrived. Um, and then fast forward to events. John Boyle brought in phone hacking. His office boy got blamed. He's a data thief, somebody that specialises in that. He lives in a £10 million house. This is how much money there is out there in data thieving. Now, that is why I get incredibly angry when I'm falsely accused of it, because I've never been rich. I always remained, I got by. I want to be a writer. I want to be a journalist. I got by. I didn't go down that road, or I could be living in a £10 million mansion. That's why it angers me to be accused of it. Anyway, Boyle brought this in. As people know, the News International crashed. And then what happened, this individual who hadn't been in Fleet Street for 5 minutes and got the sack out of it, went along to Hacked Off. And it started then, the celebrity gravy train. Now, he approached me. I ended up, because I, was only doing bits and bobs for this ex-MI6 firm, which was given to me by John Boyle because he knew he'd screwed over my entire life. What happened? Nobody got commissioned anymore, even though I was a journalist, because, you're an ex-private investigator. So because of the phone hacking, I was on the floor. I just recently published Searching for Daddy. I was desperately writing another one. The next one flopped. And I wasn't in a great situation. I loved my career. I missed it. People used to call me and say, can we borrow your genius? I was very happy. I'm a workaholic. I love working. I don't socialize. I don't really bother with boyfriends. I tend to, if I'm investigating someone, they're there, they're good looking, I'll just use them for sex. I don't really have relationships. So I was happy. I had a happy life. People might have thought, it's a strange life, but I was good. I ended up with my bylines in the Sunday Times. I climbed to the top. I had the respect of the paramilitaries in Belfast. I was daring. Both paramilitaries, the UDA as well. When the UDA split up, C Company had a war. They were killing the guys from A Company. And I was the only one that John White let interview. This is what I climbed to. And as soon as the John Boyle thing struck, I was torn down and I was depressed. And so Graham Johnson came along, brought me out to dinner. Oh, you should help Hacked Off. And I was like, okay, because I literally had an axe to grind. And people say I was bribed. I wasn't bribed. I was angry about he didn't give me any money. I had a deposit, help with a deposit, which was taken back off me when I was burgled. All my tech was stolen. So I actually wasn't given anything. I wanted to do something in the world. I wanted to be some kind of activist. I thought maybe this is something. But the guy who was arranging it, he didn't really want me to be known as a whistleblower. He wanted him. He wanted me to look like as if I had been fighting him and told him to fuck off when he'd come along, which is what he's telling people. Absolutely not true. Why would Hacked Off have tweeted that I helped Sienna Miller get her payout? And that was the truth of it. But nobody told her, and nobody told her it was Susie, in fact. And it was so strange with the BBC because I'd given them the interview and James Hanning interviewed me, and the next thing, this producer from the BBC was bullying me and over this issue of what Susie had done. And I said I hadn't done that, and would never be so stupid to do something like that. And he kept bullying me, ringing me on a withheld number, which ended up with me being really, really ill. And somebody then said to me, you have to tell them you're pulling out. You don't want them to air your interview, which was sad for me because I enjoyed the interview with, didn't enjoy it, but I thought I came over well with the James Hanning interview. So I had helped all the way along the line. Not only that, met with Bruce Goodison, met with James a good few times. Why has that been twisted? But it's been twisted for a reason. The next thing, now listen, I wouldn't have been able to help anybody if I'd have done anything illegal. Obviously not. I'm helping because I hadn't. Now, you see, this is how this individual worked that out. We can't have her seen as helping us if we're going to paint her black. And this is what this individual did. He twisted the narrative. Anyway, going back to Gavin Burrows. Gavin Burrows talked about what he'd done for the News of the World, which is always dark with those guys. Apparently, there was some bugging. Apparently, there was some cash handing over. I have to say, News International have never paid me cash. Why? Because I always thought, why would you do that? Are you trying to frame me? I didn't do anything illegal there. Pay me properly, you know? So obviously they, with Gavin Burrows, thought that, you know, they shouldn't have been doing that. Obviously, if it's bugging on celebrities or politicians or royalty. They were carrying out surveillance on royalty. They were using the serving SAS to spy on Prince Harry. Yeah, I was called in by a firm called CIX Limited that's run by Michael Oatley. At the time, there was a South African called Andrew running the shop. I was contacted to do a surveillance. I brought along another guy called Martin Nymark, an ex-army guy. We went along. I thought it was a computer company. It was along Buckingham Gate. It was a surveillance on a South African businessman who I still have his name and details. And we did the surveillance, and it was all around Buckingham Palace, and we lost him. I was pretty angry. Andrew had told me that 6 agencies had tried to find out where he was staying and had failed. Anyway, I managed to find out where he was staying. So anyway, I went back in on my own because I'd done it on my own without Martin. I just wanted all the patting on the back kind of thing, but I wasn't to be patted on the back. I sat in a boardroom and there were lots of men came in, about, 7. Introduced to them, this is ex-head of terrorism, this is ex-head of New Scotland Yard, this is ex-head of, and I thought, oh, that's impressive. And sat down and they said to me, we want to know how much access to the News of the World have to the boys at Hereford. And I thought, hang on, this isn't well done for the job I've done. And how do you know I work for the News of the World, you know? Pretty cheeky. And then I remember when I left with Martin the first time, he said that's MI6. And I looked at him sideways because, you know, everyone likes to think that they've got the plum clients. And I said, no, it wasn't. And he said, it was. And I thought, no, it wasn't. And then when I went along without him, when the guys sat down, Andrew said, you know who we are, don't you? And I, since he's South African, I said, and I thought I'd say it just to test, and I said, you're MI6. And he went, clever girl. And I thought, well, actually, I didn't think that, but, you know, I kept that to myself. And then they came out with the News of the World stuff, and, you know, their main thing was that they were spying on politicians and the royals. They didn't give a shit about celebrities, obviously. And they said, was it serving officers? And I laughed And he said, why is it funny? Of course it's funny. He gave me the filthiest look. And I don't remember the rest of the interview, which is a little bit worrying as I sip their tea. I actually don't remember returning to my flat. I don't remember what else they said. And I don't remember leaving, which is weird. And it's just weird. Anyway, so that was long before John Boyle. I was dating John Boyle. He was my lover. I brought him into Fleet Street and Greg Miscue. Now, that was long before John Boyle had gone into Fleet Street. So there's no phone hacking in Fleet Street at that point. And I can't remember what year it was. Maybe it's 1996. And they were very angry with the News of the World. Really angry. I mean, they want to fuck them up. Seriously. I mean, MI6 isn't... I mean, look up CIEX Limited and what they do. It's folded a long time ago, or look up Michael Oatley. But they weren't arsing around, you know. They literally pulled me in on a fake job. Well, it wasn't a fake job. It was a job that nobody else could do. So they probably thought, let her do it. She won't get anywhere. And it was weird because I solved the case, which was what I was known for when I was actually, you know, at the top of my game. I was known for getting things that other people couldn't. And I was known for humor, as Nick Davis has intelligently put it, because Nick Davis is an arsehole, has put it in the back of his book, Hack, whatever it's called, I can't remember. Nick Davis from The Guardian, he put Christine Hart is a specialist in HUMINT, HUMINT. I'm a specialist at getting information out of people's heads, or I will go to people around them and get it out of their heads. It's what I do. It's what I'm good at. It's what I did on Fleet Street. It's not illegal. Yeah, it's actually more journalism than PI work. It's what journalists and editors want to know more than a PI will want to know. Do you understand? So I'm not a data thief. Can't do it, won't do it. Too much of a little scaredy cat to do it. And I don't really want the money associated with it because there's risk. I'm not John Boyle. I've seen John Boyle. I can't rock and roll like John Boyle. Don't want to. Just think it draws up bad karma. But this character, Graham Johnson, has made a career out of making out that's who I am. He's won. Well done, mate. You've won. Yeah, it's out there that is what I am. You've literally destroyed my life story. You've literally changed the narrative of my life. But the worm is going to turn now over this Prince Harry versus Daily Mail thing, because Graham is at the centre of it. He's the centre of it. He's the one that launched the whole thing on Lord Rothermere. It's weird, working class person from Liverpool, you know, who didn't get by in Fleet Street and wasn't there 5 minutes. It's weird. Nonetheless, let's get back to the story. The News International were being watched. The next thing, John Boyle came to me and said to me, introduce me to the News of the World. And I thought, what the fuck? I blanked him. I remember that he took my mobile number. Now, he had my home phone number. At the time, that meant more than a mobile. We had just seen each other, been out to dinner. We made love. It was our way to not see each other then for 6 months. I wondered why he was sitting on the end of my bed naked and asking me for my mobile number. I felt a twist in my stomach. I'm very intuitive. I felt like I'd been punched in my gut. I knew he was up to something. At that point, I didn't know that he could phone hack. Then I had pushed into a really bad panic attack by bullying from Greg Miscue. Ended up in hospital. This is how fun it was working for the News International. And they wouldn't pay you. People have said, oh, you got paid a lot there. You got paid a lot there. That would be after working on loads of different projects for a whole month. and they'd ask you just to put it down there. You never got paid a lot from News International. Anyway, back to the story. I ended up in hospital. Greg Miskew turned up to hospital, took me round to the pub and said, but you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to do... And I thought, I can't handle this. I need to get away from this man. Now, instead of pulling up a boundary, I said to him, I know somebody that can do a lot of heavy lifting in investigations work, because I want to do think pieces, journalists. I don't want you coming to me for things like who's at the other end of a phone number, which again, I was really careful to never do anything illegal for them. If when I rang up and said, oh, wrong number, oh, who is it? And they didn't tell me, I would just put the phone down. This is back in the 90s. I didn't trust Greg, not by an inch. So I took him out to dinner with John Boyle. Next thing, they got phone hacking. Next thing, Boyle gave them phone hacking. He then hacked my phone, found out I was working for the Sunday Mirror, went to the Sunday Mirror with his wares. That's how come the Sunday Mirror involved, yeah. Tina Weaver, coincidentally, Phil Hall's lover before me. But then he took her back to the hotel in France, Pont de la Tour, where he took me. Coincidental how it's all linked up. Nobody's written about this because they wanted to leave John Boyle out because he's so powerful. I don't give a damn, quite frankly. Going back to Boyle, he brought that in. He brought it to the Sunday Mirror. News of the World found out Boyle was doing it for both, and then they decided to nick his office boy without telling him, and they owed him at that point $250,000. Now, that wasn't for a whole year. That was for like a month. So imagine what was going on. He was charging a lot. So they decided to get Glenn Mulcair, his office boy, for $100,000 a year and put him on as a staff member. Then they let John Boyle carry on working for the Sunday Mirror. John Boyle told me that he jumped to the Sun and was working for the Sun. He had tried, he told me this later, it's so weird, like I don't even matter. He said, I tried to work for the Mail on Sunday, they weren't interested. So he had approached some journalists there, they weren't interested. Now that backs up my experience of the Mail. I ended up working for them starting off in the late 90s, and they are totally different from the News of the World and the Mirror Group. They are, even their journalism, they were known through other journalists as being goody two-shoes. Their journalists were goody two-shoes. They would never do anything illegal. They just wouldn't. They were very careful. I was very proud to work for them. I felt proud because they weren't gangsters and scumbags like all the others. So, yeah, I felt very, very proud. My pride's been taken off me by Johnson, totally rewriting a narrative about who I am. I'm very spiritual. I believe if you do bad things and you hurt people, you end up getting bad things happen to you. I've always, if I'm in a sticky position, pray and get my prayers answered. And I want things to stay like that. So I have always stuck on the right side of spirit. And it's interesting, Johnson laughs at spirit as if it doesn't exist when he's actually in the winter of his life. This is your next stage, mate. You have to, I don't know. I don't think there's any way of turning the ship round at this point. So basically, Gavin Burrows, he worked for News International, and so he'd done a lot of naughty things for them. He obviously trusted them. He obviously didn't have anyone telling him that they were badass and dangerous to do these things for. Graham Johnson came along. He then did a confession thing. And then Graham said, I knew you should write a book. So they started to write a book. And a lot of things were, exaggerated in the book. He had to sign an affidavit for the book. He then decided that he didn't want to exaggerate things. He said, do you know what? I think I, want to just stick to how it actually was. And by that time, Johnson had already got all this stuff in affidavits. And what was done, so it's quite funny, he used the stuff that Gavin Burrows had said he'd done for News International and copy and pasted it into a statement that he'd done it for the Daily Mail. Now, he's never worked for the Daily Mail at all, never known anyone from the Daily Mail. Literally, him and the Daily Mail are fucking strangers. I know, it's hilarious. But this is how Graham rock and rolls. He does. He did the Beast of Bodmin Moor, where Rebecca Brooks asked him to go and take a picture of this big cat, apparently, running loose on Bodmin Moor. That was supposedly a giant cat. So he went to the nearby zoo, took a picture of the panther. The papers rolled, the presses rolled, it went out. He looked Rebecca Brooks in the eye and said, yeah, that's the Beast of Bodmin Moor. We met it on the moor, we took a picture of it. I mean, it takes something to do that. Well, he's taken that same quality he's got and used it on this scenario with Prince Harry versus the Daily Mail. Gavin Burrows, things he said that were even, coloured in for the News International have been copy and pasted against a totally innocent newspaper, the Daily Mail, that's about the most goody two-shoes. I know a lot of people don't like their politics, but I'm talking about how they got stories. I mean, literally, they were bullied by other journalists. Literally, if the Daily Mail had got someone, they were buying them up to tell their story. Literally, we would find out what hotel they were staying in. I took part in this. We would find out what hotel they were staying in. We would get whoever it was to come down to answer something in reception. We would go up and we would take the person they were doing the story on. We would just say, look, you need to go. That guy's been called away. It's going to be everyone from Fleet Street here in 5 minutes. Come out the back way. I mean, they were treated like a joke because they were all very posh and lispy and, so it's just totally bizarre that this has gone on. It's totally bizarre, but I can see it's Beast of Bodmin Moor all over again. You have to know Graham to know what's gone on. Now, if you don't know Graham, you think, hang on, that guy came forward, said he did loads of stuff against Prince Harry for the Daily Mail, yet, hang on, he's recanting. Ooh, he's a bad guy. Ooh, what's happened? Well, what's happened is Beast of Bodmin Moor has happened. I actually feel sorry for Graham because, there's going to be he's driven himself into a cul-de-sac. He must have been praying that Judge Nicklin wouldn't go ahead. He even said, and I think Gavin has it on tape, because every time they met, and they met a lot, he was recording him and recording the lawyers and this kind of thing. And he said at one point to Gavin Burrows, because there was this book they were writing together, he said to him, oh, don't worry if you copy and paste for the Daily Mail, because they'll never fight you back. Why is that? He was going to the Sun and saying Christine Hart had done Sienna Miller, and the Sun were paying out. They were paying out, you see. They weren't fighting back, even though they knew I hadn't done that crass thing. They were paying out. Why? Because had it have come to court, not only Susie would have been flushed out, it would be, well, how did you find out in the first place? How did you find out this? Oh, John Boyle, you were phone hacking. So The reason, and this is what Graham didn't work out, the reason why the Sun were paying out is because they were covering up phone hacking. They had no choice. Oh, pay off there, just blame that PI over there. Won't get flushed out. They were guilty, you see. But with the Daily Mail, they haven't done anything. I mean, literally, they're pristine. So they don't have to cover up anything. So they're like, fuck you. You can't accuse us of this. So they're going to court to fight it, you see. And Graham Johnson had literally said to Gavin Burrows, oh, it doesn't matter writing in the book that you did all that for the Daily Mail, because it'll be more exciting. And the Daily Mail will never sue you. They won't sue you. Well, of course they'll sue. What is he on? Of course they'll sue. But actually, maybe I suppose it was a wee book that was going out. And I think Graham Johnson's publishing company, Yellow Press, was going to publish it. Maybe the Daily Mail wouldn't have sued. I mean, maybe, it would have just sold and, nobody really, oh, that's bang out of order saying that. But I think he's right. I don't think the Mail would have gone after him. I don't think they would have been bothered. They just thought, But then, bizarrely, Graham decided to Beast of Bob and More it up and go to the lawyers with all this stuff for the book. And don't forget, Gavin was told that, it will go into a movie perhaps, and Hugh Grant. But of course, you can't go that far with something that isn't true, you see. So Graham then decided to get all this stuff and attack the Daily Mail with it and go to the lawyers and say, look, we've got all this. This guy's saying he burgled for the Mail and stuck something down Liz Hurley's bra and all this shit that they would never do. Not in a million years. Literally, I knew them for over a decade. I remember someone, Peter Dobby from the Mail on Sunday, ringing me, asking me to do a surveillance on someone. It was an MP. And I said, sure. And next thing he came back to me, no, we're not really sure we can do that. And that was the only time they even thought of doing a surveillance. This is how uptight they were. In the end, they didn't do it. And I remember thinking, what is wrong with them? There's News International using SAS on royalty, on Sarah Ferguson. Literally, Sarah Ferguson was a big target for them. Big target. Anyway, back to Gavin Burrows. So I spoke to him this morning, and he's just shocked. And I said, and he was saying Judge Nicklin smells bullshit, but he doesn't know where the bullshit's coming from. And I thought, everyone thought actually, that Judge Nicklin was going to say nah and throw it out. But it's actually a good thing that he must be a very bright judge, I have to say, because this needs flushing out. Because when it's flushed out and we find the bottom line of it is the Beast of Bodmin Moor, Mark II, then the whole thing that Graham's been doing will get looked at, including Sienna Miller and others, and I will get exonerated. So I am absolutely over the moon. Unbelievably, my first thought was, what will happen to Graham? How pathetic is that? But when you know someone for a long period of time, you see them as a human being. He doesn't have that view about me. He can say to Gavin in his kitchen that, it doesn't matter about Christine. She can't fight back. Let's blame her for Sienna Miller. Let's keep Susie sweet. Not exactly in those words, but that was the gist of it. So he doesn't see me as human. Anyway, so I'll save my pity. But literally, I do feel pity because he's upset, Lord Rothermere. That's a lord. I mean, he's embarrassed the Mail. He's going to embarrass Prince Harry spectacularly, and Doreen Lawrence spectacularly, and everyone else involved spectacularly. Because when Gavin Burrows hits the witness box, well, it's all going to come out. And literally, Gavin Burrows has proof because he tapes everything. He's one of those people. He tapes everything. I have to think about it. Do I want to? Do I want to? I taped the dinners with James Hanning and Bruce Goodison and Evan Harris because I was told to. I don't normally think of that for myself. But Gavin Burrows, he just literally tapes everything. So he's got all this on tape, amusingly. It is amusing. It reminds me of that film, Richard Gere, Hoax, where Richard Gere thought that he could write about, who is that guy? Howard Hughes. He could write a biography about Howard Hughes, and Howard Hughes wouldn't be able to say anything. He wouldn't care. This is what Graham has done with the Daily Mail. Let's do a book on them. Let's do a book on them. Oh, mate, just do a book on them. Let's do a book. Oh, yeah, let's do a book. I think I got it just right, that Liverpudlian accent. Let's do a book. They won't come after us, mate. Make a lot of money, mate. So he's done that. And then, I don't know. I mean, was he just talking to the lawyers one day and decided to go off to the Mail with it? I don't know. Something's happened, hasn't it? But it's gone from a little plan, whereas you'd get away with it writing a book, which probably would have gotten away with actually, to the point of let's sue. I mean, that's a big jump. I'm guessing that he told someone about it, and then that person went, "Oh my God, let's go after them," which might have been Hugh Grant. Gets darker and darker, doesn't it? It's definitely worthy of a film. All of this is so worthy of a film. People think that the trial is going to be good and worthy of a film. It's going to be the biggest trial in British history, apparently. But they don't even know the backstory. I'm giving you guys a backstory here. The backstory is even more shocking. It's literally that Richard Gere filmed The Hoax, ramped up to a few levels. And when I found out the trial was going to go ahead, my first thought was pity for Graham Johnson. I literally thought, holy fuck, can anybody handle being that much in trouble? That was my first thought for his mental health. But I suppose that's the way I am. I'm studying counselling level 4 now at college. So I'll soon be a qualified counsellor. So people's mental health is is what I consider. So this is what I considered, because as what happened in that movie Hoax, when everything unwound and it was found out that it was a hoax, because this is a hoax against the Daily Mail, that things got steadily worse and worse. But I think it got worse because he ran with it. He didn't come forward and say, this is a hoax. I'm guessing. No, I don't even know. I can't guess to get inside the head of Graham. But somebody who knows him well, another journalist, said, I know how he's thinking right now. He'll go down into his basement and he'll be slapping his face. Because whenever one of his little things that he's, whatever, when it goes tits up, he goes down to his basement and starts slapping his face. So I can imagine that as a scene in the movie. It's quite interesting. And when I was speaking to Gavin says he's getting threats to not come back to London. And I said, is your life in danger? Because there's loads of powerful lawyers now involved in this, but also if it goes tits up, they'll look stupid too. I mean, Rebecca Brooks looked very stupid for believing him about the Beast of Bodmin Moor. She survived it. Ended up sacking Steve Grayson, the photographer. His career was ruined. She survived that, but will the lawyers survive that? I mean, what will the lawyers be able to say? I mean, oh, we believed him though. I mean, but hang on, aren't you supposed to be like really intelligent people? So they're going to look egg on face. So they have no choice but to run with the ball. They have no choice but to run with the ball. It's, I can't even believe it. I cannot believe it. It's a car crash. It's a car crash waiting to happen. I can see cars whizzing down a motorway, and there's just going to be a pile up. Actually, it's quite terrifying. But someone who won't be hurt in it will be the male. They won't be hurt in it at all. They will just be like, what a mess, you people. So they're in a brilliant position. But the rest of them, oh my God. Apparently, so Gavin is out in a different country. I won't say where. He's working on a job. He runs a big network of detective agencies. He's got offices, placed around the world. He's receiving threats at his office in London that he not come back to London. So I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, there's powerful people involved now. It's not just Johnson. The lawyers, they're powerful lawyers. Lawyers, some of them based in Israel and other places. And I'm only saying Israel because we all know it's the most powerful place in the world. Literally, incredibly, incredibly powerful. I mean, this country seems to just do what they say. That means powerful. Am I allowed to say that? I mean, am I allowed to say, I think I am. I'm not saying Israel runs the world. I don't think it does. Yeah. I'm just merely saying powerful, powerful country. So anyway, these lawyers, they're going to look egg on face. Prince Harry specifically will look egg on face. It's bigger than the hoax. It's bigger than the Richard Gere film, The Hoax. This is massive. I know there are 2 films in place being made about the situation. Obviously, they're in the warm-up, but there's already people, I don't know if it's a script, but there's already that movement. And my God, it's a story. It is a story and a half. So apparently, anyway, Gavin believes his life is in danger. He can't come back to London. He's had these threats. His wife has had to go into hiding. I personally believe his life probably is in danger because what they want is to say, well, he signed these affidavits in Daily Mail, look, but he hasn't. So if he doesn't exist anymore, it's very helpful, it's very helpful. If I was him, I wouldn't be very happy about the position I'm in. It's going to take a year for it to come to trial. So he's got that whole year to disappear, to be disappeared. That might well happen. If I was him, I would not be happy. He's not in a good situation. Literally, there are very powerful people involved in this and people that do not want to have egg on their faces. Which, I mean, I cannot see that not happening if the train is allowed to keep going. Now, the Mail are going to go in on the 21st of November and appeal. If the other side keep fighting and they don't say, okay, hands up, this is a load of crap, then it will go on. It will go on. And I'm actually scared for the other side because it's more than egg on face. It literally will be called a hoax. And yeah. Anyway, I'm going to end here. I'm making this little YouTube. Nobody listens to me. I've been thoroughly, have my reputation ruined by Sienna Miller. Not blaming her, but blaming those who lied to her. That really affected me quite deeply to be accused of an abortion because of my spiritual beliefs. So I'm going to end it here anyway.